thing with Romney is because of the Libya gaffe and leaving out the troops in his convention speech, the bar has been so low, he sort of gets a big gold star and a thumbs up for sort of saying anything on foreign policy that wasn't a misstep.
Welcome to News Beast. Foreign Policy Day on the campaign trail yesterday with the UN General Assembly and the Clinton Global Initiative. Joining us today to talk about it, Justine Rosenthal, editor of Newsweek. Hello.
Hello.
And Keli Goff of theroot.com. Welcome back, Keli.
Great to be here.
As well it should be. So
we're very spunky today.
We are. We've been up all morning with the guys from Cubes. So here's the thing. Let's start with the Obama UN speech. I thought he nailed it to the piece for the Beast, saying, he sometimes is overrated as an order. I thought yesterday he cleared the bar pretty clearly, but you're a foreign policy wonk. What did you think?
Oh, I'm a retired wonk. I agree with you completely, though. I think that there was really not a misstep in this speech. I'm not sure that it said all that much, but perhaps that wasn't the end of the world either.
But he did articulate clearly a defense of free speech, which is something I'd been waiting for in the wake of the video scandal. I mean, that had been sort of absent. This fundamental. He almost gave a civics lesson to the world, saying, "Look, we have freedom of speech here, folks, and if you don't get that, get up to speed."
Well, I think that that's true. He also didn't draw any red lines on Iran. I mean, those are the kinds of inactions that I think were valuable at the speech, because it could have been bullied by Netanyahu, and glad to see that that didn't happen. And yes, civics lesson 101 for the rest of the world, and without it looking like the dreaded apologia that everyone would have accused him of.
No apologies. I heard this is a theme, Keli. What do you think?
Certainly, he had a fine line to walk, exactly like what you said, meaning to defend, one of America's most dividing values, which is freedom of speech, but also making it very clear to the Islamic world that we are not cheering on and condoning this wacky video that caused all this problem and caused deaths. And to her point, yes, it was sort of lacking in specifics, like he didn't articulate exactly how we were going to oust the head of Syria.
For example.
But that it's a good idea to do so, which I think most of us are in agreement on that. But in terms of specifics on how that's going to get done, he didn't go into. But I do think that sometimes there's a difference between a speech needing tone and needing specifics. Mm-hmm. And I think that this one was really about tone. That was actually the most important thing about the speech going into it. And I think he completely nailed the tone, because he came across as presidential. And in the light
Which
of
is helpful if you're president already.
Yeah, and in
well,
light
this
of
is what
Romney's
everyone is saying, right? Particularly in
right.
contrast to Romney.
Well,
Exactly.
this was a vision speech, a value speech, but let's contrast that with a section with a speech Romney gave at the Clinton Global Initiative yesterday. It was a policy speech, which was a break. It was for a change. It was about policy specifics, in this case, a new formulation for foreign aid, trying it to economic liberalization. I want to hear what you thought about the policy, but before that, I just got to say, it was refreshing to hear him give a policy speech.
This is the first time that, I've been saying now that Obama was not very specific in his speech at the UN, and then you saw, of course, Romney be yes, but on a policy that I think is, yes, sure. Who can really complain or argue with the idea that foreign aid should be tied in some way to change, to policies that we want to have happen? I don't think there's any president who hasn't said that to some extent. So I'm still not quite sure, I have to admit, and perhaps you can explain to me what it is about this that was so earth-shattering.
So the goal of it was, instead of, the Bush administration did a lot of sort of efficiency measures and human rights measures, this was actually targeting foreign aid, or the vision of attaching foreign aid to economic liberalization, and having essentially a free trade agenda drive foreign aid. Now, do you think that's practical or wise as a policy?
I think it has absolutely, in countries that basically have barter for trade still, it's an absolutely unrealistic policy, and I'm not really sure where economic liberalization is going to forward any sort of agenda that we have.
I'm going to say something else. I think, too, that a lot of these grades that we give speeches, right,
yes,
they're often graded on a curve. Right, in the sense that
yes,
it tends to come from the standpoint of the expectations, right? Under promise, over deliver, as they say in politics, right? And always try to lower expectations. And I think the thing with Romney is because of the Libya gaffe and leaving out the troops in his convention speech, the bar has been so low in terms of what we expect from him on foreign policy that he sort of gets a big gold star and a thumbs up for sort of saying anything on foreign policy that wasn't a misstep. And that's a little bit of what we have going on here. It was a decent speech, and so because of that, we're giving him an A++.
Final word.
Oh, Ahmadinejad. Looking forward to it today.
Looking forward to it.
Yes.
All right. New York Post had a very memorable headline yesterday. Final word, Keli? One word, zeitgeist.
Mick Fleetwood.
Mick Fleetwood. Going back to our earlier conversation about her favorite drummer, which I think is frankly sad. And my final word will be Morsi, not the lead singer of the Smiths, but Mohammed Morsi, President of Egypt. That's all for us at News Beast. We'll see you tomorrow.